Alright guys, so I wanted to touch base with you really quickly and explain a few things about my expectations for your final assignments. So your final assignment is not really an essay per se, it's just simply a blog entry, so it's just a draft. So I want you to think of it that way as just a draft. But it doesn't need to be a research draft, and it should be a complete draft and things like that. So if you want to think about it this way, think about it in terms of, think of it like a blog entry that you're posting to your own personal blog that you've researched and you want to get out there so it's complete, but it's not something that you're like writing with the same expectations as an essay that you're writing for class. This is something where I want you to research it and do some work with it, but I don't want you to overtax yourself trying to write some giant essay about dystopia in general. So that's the main thing, is it should be, think of it as a blog format rather than as just another essay for the class. Think of it as a blog entry, and then we can sort of share that information that we want to discuss about dystopias in that format. Now, in terms of the content, the big thing here is that I want you to discuss some aspect of what you think about dystopias in general. So specifically what I'm thinking is that I want you to sort of answer the question of what are dystopias and why do they exist. So rather than simply viewing this as an extension of your 1984 and Brave New World essays, take the examples of Brave New World and 1984 and the other things we've read, the short stories, Repent Harlequin, Minority Report, The Lottery, all those other ones. Those are all examples of dystopia that you can use. So those are all the primary sources. Other things you can use are like We, which is a novel by Zinyatin, and Fahrenheit 451 by Bradbury. There's also a film version of that too. The Hunger Games is another example of something that you could use. And there are definitely tons of filmic examples of dystopia out there. The Road is sort of dystopian, but you have to try and, in that case, make a distinction between dystopia and like post-apocalyptic type things, because they're not inherently the same thing. So just be careful with those type of things. But you can use really an example that you think is clearly a dystopian society and use that to discuss what you think dystopias are, what function dystopias serve in terms of the form of production. So why do we have dystopias? Why is dystopian fiction, why is dystopian film a thing? Why does it exist? What is the purpose of this genre of literature and film? So clearly, like, utopias exist to try to get us to see the possibilities for our society. So then what possibilities are we trying to see in dystopias? And what do we believe about these dystopias in general that makes this particular genre so popular? I mean, Brave New World, 1984, all these things are really popular in culture, and they're that way for a reason, because they tap into some unconscious or subconscious fears that we have as a society. So in the context of those fears, what makes it so important, I guess, is what I'm wanting you to look at. So the big question you're trying to answer is, why does dystopia exist? What is the function of dystopia? So that's more along the lines of where I want you to go with this. So you do need secondary sources. Some of them can obviously come from your previous papers. That's completely fine. And then you'll want to try and find at least a couple new ones, I think, as well. I think I said 2 or 3. If you find 2, that's fine. 3 is excellent. But the main thing is to very cogently and coherently discuss dystopia in general. And again, this is blog format, so it's just a draft. Don't think of it the same way as you think of an essay. But do be sure to document and cite everything in terms of secondary and primary sources and those sorts of things. So just try and get out your general thoughts about what you think dystopia is and why it exists, and just be sure to correctly provide citations for it, and I'll be pretty satisfied with what you come up with. I've enjoyed everything in terms of content that you guys have generated so far this semester, and I'm looking forward to reading your final essays. Again, not essays, your final blog post. So yeah, I think it'll be really interesting, and I hope that you find that somewhat enjoyable. The other half of that assignment is that you're going to do a 5-minute video presentation about your topic, so about what your blog post is. So the big things here are that I don't want you to just read me your paper, because that sucks. It's no fun for anybody. So don't do that. Instead, do it a little more freeform. I'm not looking for you to, this is not speech class, I'm not looking for you to like do a really rigid presentation of things. But I want you to do it very conversationally. Just try and conversationally discuss what it is that you think dystopia is about, why it exists, and what you discuss in your paper. And with that, I'll be very satisfied and very happy. And as well as I hope that your peers find it interesting as well, because you should comment on other people's video blogs as well. So in terms of wrapping everything up, I think all the essays are graded that are in. Pretty much everything's graded that's in at this point. And everything will be wrapped up by the end of next week. I think I said like tomorrow or maybe Monday for when your blog entries are due in terms of your drafts. As long as that's in by next Friday, so excuse me. As long as that's in by the end of the day on Friday, December 20th, I'm totally fine with that. So if you need to take a little extra time to put things together, that's cool. I'm okay with that. Just make sure that everything is in by the end of the day on the 20th, because if it's not, then you're going to start getting zeros for things. So as long as everything's in by the 20th, we're cool. And I think that we will have achieved everything that we wanted to achieve for the semester. So in short, I hope that you guys have taken something away from this course. I like to try and make my courses about more than just writing. So in this case, I wanted to get you guys to read Brave New World in 1984 because I think they're hugely important and surprisingly underread at this level. So I wanted to be sure that you guys get some exposure to those, and I hope that you enjoyed either or both of the novels. I hope that you enjoyed the short stories. I hope that you enjoyed the discussions and content. And really, I just hope that you got something out of the course. The writing is the technical part, but I think the content is the stimulating part of discussing ideas and those sorts of things. So I really hope that you found some enjoyment through the material I provide for you for the course. Now, of course, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything in terms of wrapping up the course, please send me an email and let me know, and I'll get back to you. I think that everything pretty much should be in order. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.